Thanks for joining me on About Alberta Tech, which is focused on introducing Alberta tech companies to Albertans. Our goal is to share the innovation and diversity that exists in this province in quick bites. My name is Lenora Thomas, and today I'm joined by Adriana Lopez Forero, President and CEO of Onlea. Thanks for joining me, Adriana.
Hi, Lenora. Thank you for the invitation.
So let's get started with some background on you. How did you get into tech?
I like that question. It is a really interesting question because it took me back to childhood and through my career as a process. So I think each one of our brains is different. Each one of our brains has different things that they look into. And for me, it's books, knowledge, patterns, and challenges. I like challenges. So when you think about a complex puzzle and a pattern and something that you need to understand deeply, that's where technology seemed the right choice. So back a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I decided to study computing science. It seemed like the right challenge to be able to understand patterns and technology. Then after computing science, I remember thinking where to take it. And artificial intelligence, this was early 2000s. Artificial intelligence came back as that series of ideas that had a pattern throughout that needed to be understood and solved. So master's degree from the University of Toronto in computer science, artificial intelligence, back when it was not cool at all. Now it's cooler. And from there, again, what is the next challenge? What can I do that is creative and where I cannot understand deeply what you can do with technology and creativity? And that was video games. So from Toronto, I came back to Edmonton and I joined BioWare as a software developer. And so many amazing challenges and ideas and creativity through that. And now solving the biggest challenge, which is maintaining a company and making sure that it succeeds and grows and that people are engaged and motivated. So all throughout that layer of technology and making sure that we understand how to solve these puzzles.
That's very important too. Okay, so what does Onlea do?
We are an online learning company, and at the core of it, we believe that education needs to be engaging. We believe that education is changing, and this started back when the company was founded. The thought process was that the future was online education. Online education gave you that flexibility to learn at your own pace, but it couldn't be just taking a PDF and putting it on a website and calling it, oh yeah, that's online education. That's not education. Education is accessible. Education is real education, is engaging. Real education transforms you. And the team we have assembled is a team that believes in that. We believe that knowledge is a lifelong learning endeavor. It doesn't end one time in your life. It's a constant process. We believe in diversity. We believe that diversity gives you the ability to solve problems, complex problems from different points of view, not just from a single origin. And we believe in adding value to our community, to our learners. So when you put all those things together, you have a team that has created some amazing courses for academic institutions across Canada and across North America. We have created some online learning experiences that are unique and that leave you transformed, leave you a new person in many ways.
So let's dig into that a little bit. For one of those online courses, especially in the days of COVID, can you give us an example of what all you've put together for it?
And how an example of one of our courses or an example of the process?
Either or.
I like talking about both of them. So I'll give you different examples, and I chose our background on purpose. So we have this, I like thinking we are this hidden gem in Edmonton, and I think that aligns with many companies, technology companies here, is we have created this amazing system, software, learning experiences in the case of Onlea. Not many people know about us. So for Onlea, we have many cool examples. One of them is out of the University of Alberta. We collaborated on the production of Indigenous Canada. And Indigenous Canada, that's that one over there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have heard about it. It has been on the news.
I have.
Nice. And it's a beautiful course. The thought process that the Faculty of Native Studies put behind it, it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's transforming. Going back to that word, it's truly transforming in the way we understand Indigenous Canada. And collaborating on the production side for the course was back in 2016 was a really good success story for us. And yeah. I'll mention one more, and I'll go into accessibility. We have collaborated with many amazing teams, and one of the most interesting ones was George Brown College out of Ontario, and they have an initiative called Deaf Learn Now. And for Deaf Learn Now, they want to be accessible first for communities that are hard of hearing or deaf. Now, how do you create a course that is engaging, is accessible, and is created for them? That's where the thought process comes into. These courses are not are not for you, for me. They are for a specific learner, and they need to be designed with that in mind. So in many ways, we put ourselves in the minds of, okay, who is here? Who needs this knowledge, and how can they better understand and process the information that is given? So that's going back to the process. That's where we have developed this process that puts us in the mind of the learner and allows us to create beautiful, engaging, accessible, transforming courses.
So for the Deaf Canada, was it?
Yes, for Deaf Learn Now, we created a course on Canadian citizenship. So it was teaching Canadian citizenship, the concepts needed to get your Canadian citizenship for communities that were hard of hearing or deaf. So
that's great.
I'll give you an anecdote from our production team when they were collaborating on the production of the team, of the course. We needed a translator. So to be able to collaborate, the course the course content needed someone from the community who understood what their community needed. So one of the things that they mentioned, for example, is when choosing pictures or illustrations for the course, don't choose one with a microphone. Where someone is speaking, like imagine we are talking about Canadian citizenship, imagine you choose the picture of someone political giving a speech. Usually they are in front of a microphone. But what you want to do for this community is you want to show them that even in the area of Canadian politics, you have systems that are accessible to them, and a microphone is not one of those. At that point, you need American Sign Language and things like that. So you need to choose the right images, the right technology, the right thought process to engage the learner.
That makes so much sense. I would never have thought about it, but it makes so much sense.
Yep.
Okay. So what brought you to starting Onlea?
So I didn't start it.
Okay.
And it's current steward. So it has started in 2015, big, amazing minds in the academic field. And some of our founders include Dr. Jonathan Schaefer. He's well known in Alberta and across Canada for being one of the founding minds of artificial intelligence. Jennifer Chesney Schaefer, she's currently the VPIT at Athabasca University. Again, one of those forces of nature, amazing, bright, insightful. And all these amazing, bright, insightful minds, just back in, again, 2015, they were thinking about, okay, what is the future of education? How can we help? And that's how Onlea started.
Okay.
3.5
And
years.
how did you get involved then?
So as part of my career, I've been involved in artificial intelligence, video games, and everything in between. And I remember I have met Dr. Schaefer throughout my career, just in the context of artificial intelligence and how to use it for the problem we had at the time, the different problems and challenges. And I can go into but at some point he came and he said, you know, we need someone to steward our company into its next phase. Will you be interested in that challenge? And again, going back to the thought process of I like challenges. So yeah, 3.5 years ago, I said, well, I like learning. So what I can promise is that I learn something new every day, that I'll do my best, and that I'll try new things to figure this out in a way that is successful and it makes the community proud. And it's been 3.5 years.
That's amazing. Okay. And what are you guys growing towards with the company?
That is a really good question, because we are at that point of what is next for us. And COVID-19, for better or for worse, has created so many challenges around education that right now we are trying to understand how can we best help, how can we best support where education is going, and put all the knowledge we have gathered over the past years. So for me, for our team, for our founders, part of the process is, and the thought is, accessibility. And I have mentioned that word a couple of times because accessibility comes in many forms. Accessibility means knowledge that is accessible across the province and across Canada equally, regardless of where you are and the technology available to you. You need access to education. It's a right. Accessibility also means different types of abilities and disabilities. Accessibility means being able to address the learning needs of different types of learners. So where we are going as a company and where we are growing in terms of our thought process and our interactive elements is accessibility. How do we help?
That's great, because it's definitely a good example being, someone who does have hearing issues versus someone who doesn't, or you've got people that learn very well online at reading, but other people who learn with doing something rather than just taking in that information. It's got to be interesting trying to create that engagement on all levels. Yeah,
and it requires a lot of empathy. One of the things I admire about our team is their empathy and how every day they put themselves in the shoes of different learners. We are right now in the process of adapting an interactive that was developed for teaching IT and for teaching IT concepts like assembling a computer. Now, assembling a computer requires you to to see the computer. And some of the interactives we have, uh, uh, how they were originally created, they were very visual in terms of drag and drop, in terms of, okay, this is where the motherboard goes, this is where the memory goes. Now, imagine trying to go through that interactive without seeing, without the ability to see. Imagine trying to, so the design process changes at that point in time. And it requires a lot of empathy and understanding, okay, if I'm in that situation, and all of us can be in that situation, especially as we age, and how will I learn something new? How will I learn something that has been designed not for me? How can I impact its ability to change so that I can go through it? So now our engineering team is going through a process of, okay, what are the sound cues? If it is not drag and drop, what is the different way in which it can be created so that the knowledge is still there and the learning outcomes are still there?
Wow, that's some serious user experience planning that you have to do.
Yeah. No, I love our team. They have that creativity and that empathy to go through that design.
Very cool. Okay, so what else should our community know about you and your company?
I think in many ways is the fact that we are here. That's why I love this interview and I love what you're doing. And I mentioned before, there are so many hidden gems here in the city. There are so many hidden gems in Edmonton, throughout Alberta, and making sure that their stories are out there and that we hear all these voices. So for me, it's just the opportunity to talk with you and to tell you about our story. I think that's what I can add. And yeah, let me know how I can help, how we can help to make sure those voices continue being broadcast.
That is amazing, and I'll be talking to you about that.
That's good.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Leonora, thank you.